Alongside the biggest theme park announcement in UK history, two very famous roller coasters here seem to be undergoing their own occurrences that aren't very good. Some very strange roller coasters have just started testing, and yeah, I'm just as confused as you are. And there's been loads of actual good roller coasters and rides opening and testing for the first time, which has allowed us to have the answer of whether or not this is a Mack Big Dipper or Striker. First world problems, eh? It's been a very weird week because all that and even more has happened this past week in theme parks. Yes, welcome back to the most consistent series ever created on this planet. This past week in theme parks, where we take a look at the previous 7 days of news within the amusement and theme park industry. And there's quite a few strange news stories to cover today. So if you do want to skip to specific stories, use the video progress bar chapters below. And subscribe if you haven't already. There are some amazing news stories in here that I'll be covering in separate videos in even bigger detail. And there'll be more videos about so much other stuff, so yeah, subscribe so you don't miss them. And you know what we are going to miss again? The fact there is no quick fire segment again in this video. If you know, I start it off every time. We're going to have a single shot this time. And we go through short little stories about what's happening around the world in theme parks, and yeah, there's literally nothing to really report on that's short, because everything there is to report on is pretty major news. Starting over in America, Busch Gardens Williamsburg have started testing and have given a semi-accurate opening date, aka the opening month, and that is it, for Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge, a new family B&M inverted coaster. And as you can see, we have seen the trains before, and they look pretty like a wolf, and yeah, it looks quite nice. I'm not rushing out to go and ride it, but the whole rest of the park I'd rush for, and that is surely a nice addition. Over in Universal Studios Hollywood, a brand new ride is opening called Hollywood Drift, themed to Fast and Furious, and that has had its track completed last week, and in this past week has now had its scaffolding come down around that station and sort of building. Why do they always look brick? Every single time they make a Fast and Furious ride, it's just a brick building. Maybe that's all that theme has going for it. Going back to Busch Gardens again, but this time in Tampa. They have filed permits to relocate some of their kids' rides that were formerly in Pantopia next to the Abanga Banga bumper cars. We had a bumper cars ride here in the UK at a theme park called Tuk Tuk Turmoil. I think Abanga Banga might be my favourite now. Six Flags America have surprisingly put back Shipwreck Falls onto their map for this year, listed that it's going to be opening in May, and this looks like a classic sort of water shoot ride, like Tidal Wave at Thorpe Park, if you will. And yeah, it seems like, according to everyone, this was very unexpected to be returning. I guess Six Flags actually decided to keep a ride rather than implode it, so that's probably the surprise there. And going down to Brazil, Cacau Park, the brand new theme park opening there, has had its Vekoma Ghost Rider have its footers installed into the ground so it can go vertical at some point soon. But yeah, you know how we usually have so many different news stories from America, and there's loads of Six Flags parks and little parks and stuff like that. That's it in America. We're moving to Europe now, because we've had a few roller coasters testing and opening over here in Europe. Troy at Toverland is a very world famous wooden roller coaster, and that has had a big retrack project done to it. I believe it's no Titan track or anything steel, it is all just wood manufactured, placed back onto the track to potentially make it a smoother experience, and that has reopened as of April the 12th. And on that exact same day, we also saw a brand new ride open in Gardaland. Animal Treasure Island is a retheme of their very well-renowned Corsari. So of course, when people heard it was being transformed into another different IP type thing, everyone was very worried. But from some of the reviews I've seen, and also those POVs that have come out, it genuinely looks like an incredible dark ride. It may not be an improvement on the old ride, but it does look like it is a decent replacement. And hopefully one day I'll be able to make that judgment for myself, despite the fact I never did Corsari. So how can I make that judgment? That opened the other day, along with a new roller coaster in Austria, Helios at Fantasiana theme park. A brand new Mack Striker Dipper Big that has a really cool twisted drop down into an amazing looking outer banked airtime hill, and you can see on this POV actually that's been released all of these different elements one by one. You've got a really slow like sideways stall into a barrel roll downwards, and there's just loads of really cool elements on it. And obviously the trains look very similar to Voltron at Europa Park, a Mack Striker, but the sort of layout resembles a Big Dipper. So what is it? In the queue somewhere, it does actually say it is a Mack Big Dipper, so I guess the Striker Dipper saga ends. 2025 has been a good year for coasters, you know, because we're even getting another one in Austria. Very similar to Helios, except the fact that this one is a Big Dipper, not an in-between. I'm of course talking about Wiener Looping at Wiener Prater. And this Mack Big Dipper looks very, very interesting. We've seen some animated POVs in the past, but now we have some POV and off-ride shots. And the reason I say some POV is because it cuts off just before it goes over the drop. So lift hill and turn POV. It just has your regular helixes, vertical loops, some really cool like banana roll elements. And strangely, it thinks it's a dive coaster because it holds just before the drop. Like properly holds, more than most dive coasters do nowadays. And yeah, that is finally testing as said, so good to see that testing. I'm sure we'll get an opening date very soon. Some places that opened their doors the other morning were in the Netherlands, and I'm not talking about a ride or a roller coaster. I'm talking about record shops. Their most magical theme park in that country, Efteling, has released a brand new record for, I assume, some of the soundtrack of the park. And it looks like an incredible record, and it would be really cool as like a sort of piece of merch or just paying homage to the park to buy that. But the queues to get into those record shops looked hectic as hell. I hope everyone that wanted one ended up getting one. And guess what else we ended up getting this past week? Some updates from Disneyland Paris, where first of all their refurbished Lego shop opens on the 19th of April. Wow. They've shown us inside the world premiere showcase that's inside of Studio One now, and that actually does look really, really nice. And they have not only shown some new concept art for the Lion King boat ride that's coming to the park, and as you can see, it's actually a 3 per row seater boat. Excuse me? And it has also been said to have a 60-meter long drop, which is huge. But also, we got a look at a brand new ride that has been announced for that adventure world in the form of an up-themed flying chair swing ride. And you know, a lot of people are complaining about this, saying that, oh, it's just a chair swing. I actually think it looks quite nice, you know. You don't have to have these amazing flat rides in your park or just amazing rides in general all the time. You need some rides for capacity. They're a little bit smaller, and chair swings are a fan favourite amongst everyone. Pretty happy that it's coming there and themed it up. It's very nice. But obviously a lot of people are laughing at it because that is their response to something that's just happened via Universal that we will get onto in a bit. Because before we head over to the UK, I'm actually going to travel to Asia. Because of course, over there, they do have quite a few very unique rides that don't look like your normal typical rides. Well, 2 new roller coasters over in China and
Kyrgyzstan,
I'm not going to try and pronounce that, are now testing. First of all, we have a Jinma Rides super spinning roller coaster at the Chocolate Kingdom. That sounds interesting. And apparently there are quite a few of these, but this is the first indoor one. And you know, it doesn't look too bad, does it? You know, it just sort of goes up its lift hill. You can see a few in the background running, and it looks like it's alright. But the other one, if you remember quite a few weeks back, and if you are an avid viewer of this series and the channel, which thank you very much for, you may know that there was a 4D coaster that was teased and shown in concept art that looked horrific. Never did I think it would actually become a reality, and we can actually watch a video of it testing now. Because behold, look at this thing. It's a 5-long car train, and as much as we can't see the full layout, you have that really long straight track and then just this really strangely slow half loop into a spike at the end. So odd. Genuinely might be one of the worst and weirdest coasters I've seen with my eyes. At least those coasters are testing and running. Unlike one of our coasters here in the UK, and potentially another one soon if the rumours are true, because I'm now going to return to the motherland of the United Kingdom. But starting with Legoland Windsor, where they have actually demolished their entire entrance sign ready for a brand new refurbished one. And like said before, it's like turning up to Disneyland and not seeing the castle and having that demolished. That's what Legoland probably feels like at the minute, but on a much worse scale. But that sign was looking quite grotty, so I'm actually kind of glad they are redoing it coming this soon. Chessington World of Adventures celebrated the 35th birthday of Vampire, their aerodynamics swinging suspended coaster, and they kindly invited me out to go and check out the birthday celebrations, a Q&A with John Wardley, who had an amazing conversation with, and I really appreciate some of the things he said and just that conversation in general. It was amazing. Spoke about the park, Vampire, and of course there was even some auctions on as well to buy some wheels, ride parts, everything like that. They celebrated Vampire's birthday in style. And Alton Towers are not celebrating a birthday, but instead are building a roller coaster. These segues get so bad every time. Over in the CBeebies Land section of their park, and they're going to start building that in time for the 2026 season. And we've seen the plans and everything like that. We know it's happening, we know what the layout's going to be, but it's actually changed slightly because new updated planning was put in place to then get rid of the maintenance bay that was on the building, which is very weird. I don't really get that. Maybe they've only just realised that they don't need that. You know, that's fair enough. And the other thing is, why the hell is there now this tiny little kink in the track? What is that? I genuinely have no idea what this coaster is going to be like. I would assume the train on it is going to be a very vital part to the experience, because if it's not, what the hell is it about? But either way, the biggest piece of news to potentially hit the whole of the theme park industry in Europe has happened in the past week, when the government alongside Universal Studios announced a brand new theme park coming to Great Britain in the Bedfordshire area on the Field TM. That is going to be a huge theme park with entertainment, restaurants, and of course rides and roller coasters. And we were even spoiled to have a concept art release too. See, now this is the problem with this series, because I would go into all of the different concept art and show you everything and sort of talk about it all, but we've already done that on the field. A series that we do outside the site of Universal Studios Great Britain, where it will go, and talking all about that project and what could happen with it. We've already spoken about the confirmation and even the whole concept art, deep diving into it, going through all the different rides in there and what we could see. So yeah, if you want to check that out, click the link in top right and go and watch the field once this video is finished, because not only that, but there's a new episode coming out very soon. I genuinely cannot wait to keep covering this entire project. So yeah, subscribe if you want to stay up to date on that, not only in that series, but this one too. But the next thing I'm going to cover isn't as concrete as that Universal plan. The only thing towards this is that it has come from a very credible source, talking about the fact Grand National at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, a very, very old roller coaster turning 90 this year, I believe, but that coaster has been reported as at risk of being demolished, with c20society.org.uk saying that although it was grade 2 listed as recently as 2017, meaning grade 2 listed is like, you can't destroy it, lad. Despite that, the owners of the Pleasure Beach are now planning to apply for listed building consent to completely demolish the ride. The Pleasure Beach seem intent on clearing space within the crowded site to build newer, faster roller coasters in a surely unwinnable arms race with rival amusement parks in the UK and internationally. Which is a crazy article to read, and it does seem likely that this could be the case. But that's the thing, this year is its 90th and they are actually doing a lot of maintenance work on it throughout this season before it opens, so it just wouldn't make sense to do loads of maintenance work but also want to demolish it at the same time. I don't know. It's interesting to read nonetheless, but if it gets demolished then I guess we sort of knew, but if it doesn't, you heard nothing. I didn't say anything. I'm just reporting on what I hear, okay? As I'm going to report on something that is true because it's been happening and is still happening at Thorpe Park with their current second tallest and fastest roller coaster there, Stealth, an Intamin accelerator roller coaster, and it's been closed for the past week, awaiting engineers to do something to it. And I really don't want to bring this intro out for the third week in a row, but break. Obviously, Thorpe Park have not put on their website or anywhere really that Stealth is undergoing a huge sort of refurbishment or anything. There's nothing on the maintenance page saying a specific date it's going to open or anything to do with what is happening. So whatever's happened is clearly quite unexpected. But supposedly, a couple weeks after the initial opening day of the park, Stealth would pretty much launch once and roll back, not even making it anywhere near the top of the top hat. Then try and relaunch and still make it nowhere near, then again, and then there's no point. But I'd be inclined to believe if it is to do with that launch, something has either happened to the actual launch cable, which I highly doubt, or maybe something in the launch mechanism. Maybe there's like a valve or something that needs replacing, or a few valves, I don't know. Either way, there would have been an announcement if it was a major thing that they couldn't have fixed soon. So that does make me think that whatever parts they have needed are being delivered to them as we speak. And you never know, it might be open again whilst I'm making this video. It's interesting to see regardless, and I am intrigued to see what happens to it. I don't think it's going to get imploded. I don't think it's going anywhere. So I have my fingers crossed for Thorpe Park that gets sorted, because Hyperia had a few problems. That seems to be sorted. Stealth really said, hold up guys, it's my turn now. But yeah, hopefully that gets fixed, and hopefully Grand National sticks around. Hopefully Universal Great Britain happens. Hopefully everything happens, because there'll be so much happening in the next week as well, which I'll report on next week. So subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and comment down below what your thoughts are on all of this stuff. Good night.